Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com. Hey, what's up, guys? I know I haven't been on here much here lately, but I've been busy with Old Homestead Distillery. If you've not been checking that project out, that's my new distillation project, my new distillery that I'm working at with some really great people who I absolutely love working for, and it's going to be pretty amazing with the ability to have classes about distillation, to be able to make any style of spirit that we want to make, whatever comes to mind, fun one-off projects, all kinds of cool distilling equipment based around pot stills, obviously, but also using a lot of Ozark Stillworks stuff, Tennessee Thumpers, as well as some stuff from 13 Stills, Jason Wade Harrell, and of course expanding upon what I do here on the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute, which I will be doing in person there at the distillery in the future, where we also have a hotel. So you'll be able to buy hotel packages, come stay for a few days, learn the basics of distillation, work with me, all that sort of stuff, or just come enjoy spirits, buy spirits, hang out at the lake. There's a winery there, brewery, all the cool stuff, you know, there's a marina, everything you can imagine all in one place. But as always, please support me at thealchemistcabinet.com. All the books are still available there, The Alchemist Cabinet Volume 1 and Volume 2, as well as the Distiller's Almanac. I think that's getting ready to come. The Distiller's Almanac for this year is probably getting ready to come to an end because we're quite a ways into the year so far. So I have started on Volume 2 of that, which I hope to have out maybe November or December, get it out early for people so they can really kind of plan their year out as it goes. In addition to that, of course, I've been working on a garden. I was out at Mount Vernon. I got to go out to Mount Vernon with my brothers Eric Wolf and Aiden Pemberton and Steve Bayshore, of course, and make apple brandy for George Washington, which is also why my voice is a little froggy, because, you know, breathing in the wood smoke out there. And I know some of you will laugh because you know that I do smoke cigarettes, but, you know, wood smoke's a little different. So, but starting to feel a little better now, thankfully. Also planting the garden and all that fun stuff, you know, starting stuff in the greenhouse, getting things put out in the actual garden itself. So it's a very busy time of the year for me, but I'm going to try to get a few videos done tonight to be able to share over the coming days. Keep the questions coming. You guys have actually been sending some great questions over, and we're going to see how many we can get into in a couple videos here this evening. So here's one from Aaron. So, hey brother, I'm excited to see what the future holds for you as you unleash all you have learned in these many years. As I've gained an affinity for Texas bourbons and the grain-forward characteristics they display, I'm quite curious as to how one could pull more oils from a distillation. I have some Bad Mo legacy barrels I want to fill, but only when I nail down the new make. Is it incumbent on grain distillation? I'd love to take my spirits to the next level, but hitting 17% is still a faraway goal amongst many. Thank you, and be well, sir. Great question. So, yes, if you want that big oily characteristic, there's a few things that will give you that. One is definitely on-grain distillation. Secondarily, it's very much about the grains that you use. So heirloom corns tend to have a lot more oils in them than modern hybrid corns do most often. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule, but generally using heirloom corns is going to give you that sort of oily thing that you want. As well, that is usually and typically that oily characteristic is very much related to pot still distillation most of the time. Now, there are ways you can detune continuous columns that give you a little bit more of that, but that is definitely a built-in feature of pot still distillation. It's also a big part of how you cut your spirits. You know, we've talked on this channel before about actual aging, not trying to rapid mature things or not just throwing staves on things, but going into Bad Mo's or 1030s or to full-size barrels. You don't want an incredibly clean distillate in there. In other words, you're not going to cut a distillate the same way that you would a white spirit. So you're going to leave a little heads in the distillate that's going in the barrel and a little tails. The more of those tails that you put in that barrel, the longer you're probably going to have to mature it, but the more of those oils you're going to get. If you want a little cheat for oils, which really is more of a cheat for mouthfeel than anything, oats. Oats are the answer. Especially if you malt oats, you'll definitely get a lot of that oily sort of character that carries over in that pot still distillation with those oats. And I am typically talking double pot still distillation here, not pot and thumper or anything of that nature. Although you can pull oil that way as well. It's just more a part of that double pot still sort of culture to have that big, heavy-bodied, oily, crazy mouthfeel experience from pot still. It's also one of those reasons why I always say pot still whiskeys have to open up. When you open that bottle and you pour a glass, do not go to that glass and drink it immediately or nose it immediately. Give it some time, 5 or 10 minutes to open up. Pot still whiskeys really need to open up and be decanted to be really appreciated in the proper way, in my opinion. So hopefully that gave you some answers there. If not, you let me know and I'll dive deeper into it, and we'll see what we can come up with as always. So see if I can grab a hold of another paper here and flip to the next question potentially and see what we got. I can't, fingers aren't operating properly. All right, what do we got? So let's see. So first off, Alan, congratulations on the new venture, and also thank you for the video discussing the drip, drip, drip myth. That has been one of a couple things that there have been differences of opinions on in social media groups. My question is about another topic that has people divided in the social media groups, and it's about traces of foreshots and heads existing throughout the run. My mentor told me to run a thin stream during the spirit run, and also to always take another foreshots cut at the beginning of the spirit run, even though I did for a while running the stripping runs. Please give us your thoughts on this topic. All right, so I'm going to basically limit this to double pot still distillation, because otherwise we're going to end up all over the map trying to answer this question for sure. So on a double pot still distillation, a traditional Charentes style distillation as they do in cognac, or what they do in Scotland, typically I don't make any cuts off the stripping run. I know there are people who do. The reason that I don't is because those alcohols haven't ordered out and away and separated away from the water enough. So you're getting all these weird azerotypes that aren't breaking right? So if you make a foreshots cut on a stripping run or heads cut on a stripping run, you're not just removing the stuff that you don't want, you're also removing some ethanol and some other flavor compounds that you probably do want in that doubling run. The reason for that is because those azerotypes have not had a chance to break through that first distillation and form into a more fractionated form that you'll get in that double pot still distillation with those low wines. This is why I always only do cuts on the doubling run and never on the stripping run. Now on that doubling run, I do my foreshots cut. For, let's say, a 1,200 gallon batch, which is what I was running at Spirits of French Lick, that was about, 2.5 gallons or so of fours, roughly. Bearing in mind that I'm also using a low acetaldehyde producer, producing yeast a lot of times. The heads fraction might have been 7 to 9 gallons, somewhere in there, quite typically. And this is, of course, for brown spirit, not for white spirits. I don't cut back and do another foreshot when I go into the spirit section of that doubling run, because there's no reason to. Now, as far as the way that those alcohols order out, because you're not running on a coffee column where you can really strictly fractionate, there's bugs everywhere out here, guys, I apologize, where you can strictly fractionate all those different types of alcohol. It is true that throughout the run, the entirety of the run, even into the hearts, you're always pulling some fours, some methanol, and some heads as well. That's just the nature of pot still distillation. It's also the nature of continuous column distillation. Now we can clean it up and fractionate a little bit more than a continuous column can, and thus we use a lower char barrel on double pot still quite often, or at least I do, a number 2 char versus a number 3 or 4 for a column still, because I don't need that heavy filtration. If you had a coffee column, you could separate all those fractions individually from one another. But it's a completely normal thing for there to be some acetaldehyde, some ethyl acetate, some methanol, etc. coming throughout the entirety of that distillation. And in some cases, specifically in agave ferments, as I understand it, could be wrong here, and if I am, someone will correct me, I can guarantee you that. The major majority of the methanol actually starts to come over more on the tail end of the run than it does on the heads, before the heads fraction on the foreshot side. That's my understanding of it anyways. So yes, it's not, 100% purity, as it were, when you're making those hearts cuts. No matter how much you cut on the strip or how much you cut on the double, there's always going to be some foreshots. There's always going to be some acetaldehyde, always going to be some ethyl acetate, always going to be fucking gnats flying around my head, annoying the hell out of me. But all right, man, there's 2 good questions for you guys. That's about 10 minutes worth of video. Those are the videos I like to do. Those seem to be the ones that you guys respond the best to. And I will be doing a walkthrough of Old Homestead with you guys here shortly and putting some videos up about Old Homestead. I've just been so busy on the construction side of things there and the ordering side of things and getting things in order there, plus here at the farm, that I've not had a chance to do those videos, although I've done some shorts on TikTok and social media, different places and things like that if you want to check it out. So, but check out thealchemistcabinet.com. Keep the good questions rolling. Be safe with your stills out there, guys. Keep pushing for legalization or decriminalization in the states where it's still not legal or decriminalized. And I love you all, and I'll catch you soon.